Francisco Tarrega, born in 1852 in Spain. And to paraphrase his Wikipedia page, he's cited frequently as one of the greatest guitarists of all time. And if you don't know him, you'll probably still know his works, hearing them in various places. Maybe the most iconic being the Nokia ring tune. It's a riff of his from Grand Valse. His pieces are always so important to me, and indeed some of the earliest memories I have of really connecting with a composition, and even without having the words as a child to describe that connection. But the first time I remember playing a piece and feeling it like a palette for my own expression. Also probably one of the first points as a young musician where I really felt like this powerful presence through the history of the instrument and through music. Like I could feel it kind of reaching through time at me, and very, very significant in a lot of ways. Again, especially as a kid, you're being exposed to stuff for the first time, and putting my fingers on his pieces just are some of the most vivid musical memories that I think I have, especially in the years of musical development that you have as a child. I was always really, really elated just to find his notes under my fingers, learning new things about the instrument and learning new things about myself as a player, and then just feeling like I have this, again, historical support network through his work, like a gift to me, I think, honestly. His compositions have always been fuel for me, and his tunes very much 100% shape me as a player, I can say with certainty and constantly. I always felt this immediacy of hook-like lyricism, based simply just on how pivotal parts of his compositions are played. So for example, you'll have anything, you learn new techniques as you learn a piece, but the parts of his pieces that you're learning are almost the focal point for the melody, for me anyway. I'm sure I'm not alone in these opinions, but they became part of the melody, how you're doing specific things that you're required to do to play his pieces. The guitar isms, like legato techniques, hammer-ons, pull-offs, big, egregious glissandos. I mean, even you could consider some of these being like the historical precedent for some of the techniques that are so entrenched in the guitar today. And, these are the embellishments in the pieces that I always really felt I leaned on for inspiration, much like I'm sure every player playing his pieces, but they again really stand out for me as significant. I always wondered if he knew the groundwork he was laying by putting these things in, or whether he was just sort of, doing what he felt with his fingers on the instrument. Either way, a great big thank you to Francisco Tarrega. The Fender Stratocaster, design beginning in 1952, a full century after Tarrega's birth and almost 50 years after his death. Again, the musicological and historical significance here doesn't really need an introduction. It's an icon, it's a beacon, love it or hate it. Maybe one of the most recognized instrument shapes, and if not, certainly the most emulated guitar shape on the planet. I'd been a classical player for a good number of years before dipping my toes into the pond of electric, and even then my first electric guitars were not Stratocaster guitars. Putting my hands on a Stratocaster seriously for the first time, I remember kind of sending me backwards in my own timeline. Just the vocal nature, their signature, unmistakable sound brought me to that very familiar Tarrega place. Hendrix, Gilmour, Beck, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Morello, John Mayer, Eric Johnson, among many, all personally impactful players for me, and all that I felt tapped the kind of virtuosic and exploratory lyricism, again, in a very Tarrega-esque way to me in my ears and my own fingers. As a classical guitarist approaching the electric, I found this very easy musical handshake, kind of, between the techniques developed through learning and loving Tarrega's works, and then my experience with fingers on a Stratocaster for the first time. I found myself not only relying heavily on these techniques, but discovering new meaning, new relevance, just freshly entrenched significance and beauty. Through the Strat's nature and sound to me and Tarrega's compositions, sort of found this charming coexistence of two dimensions, distinct but distinctly complementary and deeply connected somehow to me. Playing my favorite Tarrega repertoire on the Strat only serves to further solidify that connection to me, however cheeky, and I get a sense of homage to both worlds, and in one moment, it makes me happy. Of course, all this stuff is personal perspective. I have this playful thought that had he existed 100 years into the future, Tarrega would have played a Stratocaster.